for the shotgun slayings of Kitty and Jose Menendez. Originally, the brothers denied any knowledge of their parents' murders. After their arrest, they admitted they were the ones who killed them. During their first and second trials, defense attorneys maintained the brothers were abused and feared for their lives, and that's why they committed the crimes. Lead prosecutor David Kahn told jurors the brothers killed their parents in cold blood to inherit the Menendez fortune.
You may know the case. The Menendez brothers serving a life sentence for brutally murdering their parents nearly 30 years ago. Well, they have now been reunited in jail. A spokesperson for the prison confirmed that Lyle was moved to the same housing unit as his brother Eric just 2 days ago. Last year, Lyle Menendez spoke to NBC's Megyn Kelly. Here it is.
I've not seen Eric in 17 years, and I miss him every day.
Can you and he speak on the phone?
No, I cannot talk on the phone. Or communicate just through having the same family members and by writing letters.
Want to bring in HLN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson, also Bob Bianchi, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney as well. Good to see you guys. Joey, I'll start with you on this. Allowing partners in crime, really, and brothers who committed murder were charged with it and they admit to it, to be housed in the same unit. Have you ever heard of that?
You know, it could happen, and obviously it's discretionary on the part of the facility, but generally does not. And by the way, good afternoon to you, Susan, and my good friend, Double B, Bob. But, you know, here's the problem. The problem here is that, you know, when you look at it, it's not only the issue of a security risk, but I just think that, you know, when you shoot your dad 5 times and your mom 9 times and you shoot him in the back of the head and, you know, just the nature of the punishment, I can't get over. When I talk about punishment inflicted upon their parents, I can't get over. And you could argue about the molestation, the abuse, and what ultimately happened to them. But I just think as a form of punishment, I just have a problem with them allowing this to begin.
And Bob, they have been requesting this for a while. The brother's aunt even wrote this: "I think this is an answer to my prayer. I've been praying for many, many years that this would happen." What are your thoughts on them being able to see each other after all this time?
Well, listen, I mean, the authorities felt that it was appropriate, so I'm not going to second-guess that judgment. But I had prosecuted a murder case when I was the county prosecutor with 2 brothers who actually dismembered and killed a young girl. And I can only imagine what their family would be thinking if they found out that those brothers were reunited. They would think that that was a form of conciliation and not punishment. So I can understand from the victim's family point of view and those in the public that are watching this, that they would be rather upset about this kind of thing. But as far as the jail is concerned, so long as it doesn't represent a danger to the prisoners or the staff, they have the discretion to do it, and that's what they did.
And Joey, they do have some rights. Lyle has a Facebook page, although he has no access to the internet, so it's run through a family member. And they were both able to get married. So they have rights in jail, even when you kill your parents.
You know, you certainly do. I mean, all prisoners have rights. Remember, this is the greatest country on earth. It's a democracy. You know, we don't torture prisoners in jail. We don't make sure that they sleep on hard pillows or I should say, you know, hard mattresses or otherwise solid steel. I mean, they're not the most ideal conditions in a jail facility. I can assure you of that, having been a frequent visitor to one for purposes of visiting clients, or many, I should say. But the reality is that, you know, notwithstanding the rights that they have, I think that the right of them reunited like this, it just goes too far for me.
And Bob, just a couple seconds on this topic. Were you surprised they were tried together all those years ago?
No, it's not surprising. Actually, prosecutors would rather try a case together. You have one piece of evidence that you can present to one jury. You don't have to try 2 separate trials. As a homicide prosecutor myself, I never want to try 2 cases with my detectives being cross-examined over and over again.
But we always ask for it, Susan. Us defense lawyers always want to separate the trials.
Right. I know
Double
that,
J, good job.
I know that Eric's lawyer did want separate trials and was upset she didn't get that. Another story, this one out of Toledo, Ohio, sad all around. A judge will sentence 4 teens today who admitted to tossing sandbags and rocks off an interstate. Well, it killed a man. Police say one of the sandbags crashed through his window, hit 22-year-old Marquise Bird on the head. That happened in December. At that time, the boys who were 13 and 14 years old were charged with murder. All four took a plea deal and pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter and 2 counts of vehicular vandalism. They're going to be sentenced as juveniles and could be held in detention until they are 21 years old. I know that the man who was killed was a father. Bob, the judge is going to look at the teen's psych evaluation in determining their punishment. What are they going to be looking for here? Any history of violence, maybe?
Well, you have to remember, yes, they're going to be looking for that. They're going to be looking at whether or not they're going to reoffend. But in the juvenile justice system, the effort there is for rehabilitation and not punishment. They were not tried as adults. It was not handled in the adult court where punishment and deterrence is key, but rather in the juvenile system where it is about rehabilitation. So, listen, I had a case where our office at a time when they dropped a bowling ball and one of the assistant prosecutors trying to case it went through a windshield and killed a baby. I mean, these are horrific accidents typically done by juveniles. And, you know, the bottom line is as a prosecutor, you got to look at how the victim's family has so much loss, so much hurt that the person will never be brought back. But by the same token, in the juvenile system, we're supposed to rehabilitate. So I believe a prison sentence is appropriate here. But unfortunately, they're not going to get the full level of treatment that they would have had they been treated as adult offenders.
And Joey, I can't believe this goes on as much as it does. Just hearing 1 or 2 stories of this, I can't believe that kids actually think it's okay to do. This could be a lesson to everyone out there considering this. The plea deal includes involuntary manslaughter, Joey. If they were your clients, would you have advised that deal for them?
You know, I think so. I mean, the first thing you attack, and by the way, I'm in accord with Bob on the rehabilitation aspects of any type of sentence, but looking at the other ones, which I think your question goes to, is, you know, you got to have some punishment, you got to have some deterrence in addition to that rehabilitation. And the reason you advise a plea deal is because you at least can control the parameters of that, Susan, right? It's always a risk to move forward at trial, and then your life is just in someone else's hands. And in this particular situation, there has to be responsibility. Someone died here, and no, you know, you don't have a fully formed mind when you're 13, 14 years old, but shouldn't you know better than to be throwing things, you know, off of overpasses? And so, you know, to that extent, you make the deal to the extent that you can't get it dismissed by arguing that the other ones were merely present and had nothing to do with it. If that doesn't fly, you cut a deal, the best deal you can, and you hope to rehabilitate yourself and have some semblance of a good life moving forward. Yeah,
we're going to let you know what the sentences are. Bob Bianchi, Joey Jackson, thank you.
Thank you, Susan.